What's going on, y'all? It's J Smoke Reviews here, back at it again with another video, man. Been a busy ass couple days for me, and like I said, with the move going on over here, you're gonna get a bunch of different backgrounds. So here's another one for you, right? But not too much in the last couple days in the sporting world from my hoop people out there. The Luka Doncic trade, Jesus Christ, the Spurs got De'Aaron Fox for like nothing. They actually gave up assets they didn't want. So I've really been super duper tapped into basketball. Shit, you go to the NFL, Myles Garrett asked out, so been involved with that, had the move, but there's been a couple more announcements, particularly for Tbl's Apollo card, and they are as major as any announcements so far, and that's really what we're going to talk about here today, which is Real Sikh versus Illmac, first of all, which I think is one of the best battles on the card, battle that I love, and then Chilla Jones versus Verb, which got announced today, which I can't lie, name value-wise, there's pop to it. I have slightly different opinions on that matchup that we'll talk about, but we're going to start out with Real Sikh versus Illmac, and this is a battle that's been out there, it feels like, to be booked for a minute. If you either of them, when they've talked recently, have both mentioned each other's names in battling, I think particularly with Real Sikh, I feel like the last few years, all you heard him say is, I want Rock, Nitty, Chess, and Illmac. And it's just been those four names on repeat. Obviously, he's battled Rum Nitty up to this point. And now he gets Illmac, which at one point, you would think, just looking at it, it's a King of the Dot-esque battle. And I know that there was runs from King of the Dot to try to get this battle in the past. But Tbl is saying, it doesn't matter if you're a King of the Dot battle, a URL battle, an anywhere battle, you were a Tbl battle this year. Because they are just across the board, man. I mean, yeah, look who's on the card so far. Daylight, Twerk, Nitty, A-Ward, Hollow, Illmac, Jazz, to Verb, Chilla, and obviously Chilla is the one that has a big part in putting this all together. So I want to say, first of all, they said this can be an all-time card, not just 2025's best card, not just one of the best cards in recent years, a historic battle rap imprint, and just, it's a 2-day event that's supposed to have 8 battles on each day, I believe they said, and this is what we've gotten 5 battles in. So I'm expecting more top tiers. I think it's already crazy so far, but you get to Sikh and Illmac. This is another big matchup for them to pick up. And like I said, they've been calling each other out. And I think it was today that it dropped, earlier today, shout out 3, PSA Reloaded. He interviewed Real Sikh, and Real Sikh said he is Illmac's nightmare and talked about this isn't meeting your idols. This is when, you get to a certain level and realize the guys you thought were fire or were a certain way are actually not that way. So he's already talking a little spicy out the gate, and that's a continuing theme for him. You have a super legend in Illmac who's not just a battle rap legend in terms of what he's done in the grind time, King of the Dot side of the sport. I think he's one of the top 15 battle rappers of all time, and they finally clash, and I think that their styles are going to work so perfectly at emphasizing what they both do well, right? I feel like they're both great pure rappers. Syllable structure, we know how much Real Sikh gets praised for it, and of course Illmac all time in terms of different rhyming patterns, like the creativity in the pen that's not just the wordplay. But I think they're both great anglers and concept-based guys. I think the best example of that, talk about Illmac, is his third versus Big K, the battle rap dream, right? When he wakes up and he's like, oh my God, what's going to happen at the actual event, which is an all-time historic round for those that haven't watched the classic, that is Big K versus Illmac. And I feel like Sikh has shades of that in his game, right? So when you talk about the different concepts they try to take, which is like peak creativity, the angling, and then the rapping ability itself, I just feel like this matchup makes so much sense, which is why they've been calling each other out for so long. And now to have that there's some venom to it, to see Real Sikh saying that he's his worst nightmare, and Illmac saying on different occasions kind of what he would do to Sikh and how he sees that matchup. You want great matchups, and there's always going to be respect because these guys are basically coworkers. They're around each other more than, we get to be around them. So it's hard, people talk about fake animosity, but even if it's just a competitive edge, I love what I'm seeing from them so far. Speaking on the battle, that's going to add to already 2 great styles going against each other. It's a hard one to predict, because I feel like it being 500 people, first of all, it's pit style. They both should be great. And for those that don't know, it's supposed to be a pit with 500 people. So they're going to be surrounding them. They're not going to be staged and elevated, but it's not going to be a small room crowd, which I think most people associate with pit style battle rap. I think the more people you get in the crowd, the more that helps Real Sikh. He's just hitting his stride and his prime as a battle rapper. He's getting much better at controlling those bigger venues. But I feel like Illmac is due for a great performance. I think he was very, very good versus Rum Nitty. No matter if you had him winning or had Nitty winning, I think that was a very good performance. I went back and forth with it. I personally have Nitty edging the battle second and third. Then you have the Geechee battle. I did not love his performance on there. I know some people kill me in the comments when I talk about that battle. I thought Geechee won very clear, though. I thought it was one of the better Geechee Gottis in recent memory. And then he had the Sharon battle where he's not like bad, but Sharon just wiped the floor with him. And that goes to show how great Sharon has been for the last year or so, right? So I think he's due for an explosive performance. This is a guy that usually you don't see battles often as he has in between those last three battles. This is a matchup he specifically has wanted for quite some time, which I think you could say the same for the Nitty battle, and that is a great Illmac performance, right? And then maybe more so for Sikh because it's not going to be the clash of a puncher versus this more technical pen. It is going to be two technical pens and surgical anglers going at each other. As I say when I talk about all these in the announcements, when I do my predictions, I might even change and give a more definitive prediction. We'll go over the details again. But just looking at it right now, it's hard to bet against Real Sikh 2-1. So that's what my initial thoughts will be looking at it. But like I said, there's a lot of promo to do between now and then. And I think Illmac, especially with this prep time, because this has got to have been booked for some time and it's still not going down till April. He's got to, think that this is going to be a great, kind of a bounce back great performance, especially following the Sharon battle. And with the magnitude of the card, I feel like not only your active top tier is going to be motivated, but with a magnitude of a card like this, you have to look out for the Daylights, the Hollows, and the Illmacs, who are going to have big question marks on them, but they've made a career of knowing when to show up when it absolutely matters the most. I think Charlie Clips is the best example of he could fuck around for years, but then when his biggest battle comes, the easy battle where all eyes are on him, all of a sudden you get the best version of himself, and that possibly could be the trap for some of these guys that are facing these like super legends of this nature. But either way, Sikh versus Illmac, 10 out of 10 booking, and in my opinion, one of the best battles that has been announced so far for TBL. And now we got to talk about the second matchup, which is Chilla Jones versus Verb, right? And before, I have my pros about this, and I also have my cons. I definitely have my complaints with this matchup, but name value-wise, it's big, and there is a little bit of backstory, and these are for my people that have been around here a little bit longer. We're talking 9 or 10 years ago. It was either 2015 or 2016. And it's ironic because, we're in the era of battler ran leagues right now. But I remember before Hitman vs. Suge went down, there was so much time for those that were around when who's going to book Hitman and Suge. It couldn't seem to happen. And Hitman was threatened, in a sense, I guess, to throw his own event at the time. I remember he was going to do it in St. Louis, and he wanted to book him versus Suge as the headliner, and the co-headliner was going to be Verb versus Chilla Jones. And there was drama. I remember Hitman leaking Chilla Jones's text messages onto Twitter, and Chilla saying he wasn't going to he turned down the Verb battle in St. Louis because I wanted to try to get my gnomes and SMs up and stick with URL. And ironically, he ended up winning Cody basically off of a URL-based tier. He made it to gnome, never got that SM debut, and now they're both throwing gnome SM level cards. So it's kind of a funny full circle moment, but you finally get the Verb battle here after it was almost booked back then. Style-wise, it's a writer versus a writer. Like, there's things that make sense for it to be a big matchup. My complaints, I guess, you can question both of their form, right? I don't think Chilla Jones has exactly looked like prime Chilla Jones recently. He's good in the T-Rex battle. I know some people have him winning. I thought he got outclassed in the building, though, and I didn't think there was some huge gap in material. It's definitely a bit closer than people say. He did not get 30'd by Rex, but I did have T-Rex winning the battle. But the complaints, and it's going to come from many people, are just Verb and the nonsense that comes with Verb, right? Because not only has he been losing, and then he had the weird no-show Sirius Jones interaction. I didn't even know when Verb was going to get booked. I thought he burned every bridge that was possible. And the last time I talked about him, right, was the blog I had when him and Av got canceled. Like, all these demands he wanted met, and they didn't get met. And I was really with them. It sounded ridiculous what Verb was at. Everything Verb does is ridiculous. I'm not going to go all the way into the rabbit hole that is Verb's ridiculousness. But then Av, after a day later, after saying it's canceled, he's a sucker, they went on and on and on. Like, 2-3 days later, hopped very mysteriously in a small space with the ABCD league owner, still a ridiculous league acronym, and said it's not canceled. Y'all are going to, it never got canceled. I heard you say it's canceled. So apparently that battle went back on, which just goes to show, I think it's always been, I think Verb's been doing stupid, weird shit for years now, but battlers don't really stand on it. Like, they did that whole thing, this and that, he's a weirdo, we don't want to battle him. 3 days later, you were ready to battle him again. So it's almost like I can't get so over the top with Verb, or at least follow the battlers into the fire, because let one little thing change, they still want the Verb battle for their resume. And then Chilla Jones goes and books Verb. It just pops out of nowhere with a Verb booking. I am not confident in Verb's performances going into this battle, nor am I confident in his performances in either's. I guess, if him and Av ends up going down, I still have Av kicking his ass. None of these are battles that I really want to see because I think Verb is just so past his prime at this point. But I will say I'm hearing, and Chilla's talked on kind of like the way these battles are going to be shot, the timing, that he doesn't want to have each battle being 50 minutes. He wants each battle besides the main events to be around like 20 to 25 minutes, like 90-second rounds with like a 2-minute hard cutoff. Maybe he didn't say 2-minute hard cutoff, but I know that's around the time he wants each round to go. That is pro Verb. Like if we're talking about like within like the X's and O's of the battle, when you bring the timer down and you have a guy that's based purely on his signature flow, and we're not, the longer the battle goes, the more actual tailored content you have to compete, and angling and punchlines, and Verb is regressed in really all of that. He raps his flow, and he does have his pockets that are really good, but his material is not as tailored as it used to be. So when you bring it down to like that 90 seconds, 2 minutes, it's an example of like the Kid Chaos battle in Lightwork, where his material wasn't tailored at all to Kid Chaos, but in such short rounds, when Chaos was a little mediocre when the battle finally came out, even though he won off camera, had to be reshot, those flow pockets for Verb just kind of are what people focused on. So I have to say, I actually think it's a situation where Chilla hasn't exactly looked like his old self either. This is probably a good situation for Verb. I'm still not expecting him to win because, like I said, he's not tailored, you know what I mean? And I had him losing the Kid Chaos battle, but I know a lot of people had Verb winning once that battle did finally get aired, even knowing that he needed the battle reshot and all that ridiculousness. But I don't know what the Verb ridiculousness is, man. He wants to tear down battle rap. He talks about how dirt it is. A year ago, he said, I'm never coming back. You guys are disgusting and pathetic, and this sport is disgusting. And then he's got 2 battles booked and trying to get more. It's a goddamn circus, but it's something that TBL has welcomed into their event, and there's too many other good battles on the card for me to go and be like, Verb ruins the card or anything like that. I'm not happy to see Verb on the announcement, but he is a name in this culture, and I do think that it's a little questionable with both of their forms going into the battle, but if there is a world where, like I said, these older legends know when to perform good. So we're going to question a Hollow Dodon because of his recent form. We're going to question Daylight because he's just a questionable person. You know what I'm saying? We know what his talent is, but we know his ridiculousness too. We're going to question Illmac because he's taken a couple L's recently. And of course, I'm always questioning Verb, but they know the eyes will be on this card. And if you're in a setting, 500 with a pit, right? Which sounds pretty good. It sounds around like what Verb did when he beat Past. That was a good performance a few years back. And he's motivated. He knows the eyes are on him. If he's good in this one, it means like double. It will kind of like disguise some of these ass performances he's had as of recently. So I still have Chilla Jones 2-1. It's one of the weaker announcements of them, but if Chilla and Verb is the weakest announcement of your card, you have a very strong card so far. So it's a battle that I feel like on, but there's no question, name value wise, it's still a big announcement for TBL. And that is my initial thoughts on these 2 battles. And I keep saying I'm not going to give away all my prediction stuff here, right? And then that's what I do anyways. But when TBL's full card is announced, of course, we're going to run it down, and I'm sure I'm going to go on 3 show. Might even be like a half an hour. If it's going to be a 2-day event with 8 battles each, the prediction video might be over like 25-30 minutes. So just a heads up there. But of course, as always, what are your guys' opinions on these announcements? I know people are going to have a lot of thoughts on Illmac and Sikh. So how do you like it? Do you think it could be up there for Battle of the Night? I'm letting you know now, nothing is going to go in my Battle of the Night prediction over Daylight and Nitty. That is the main attraction. That is the main event for a reason. It's the main event of both days, in my opinion. That's what I'm looking forward to the most. But I think Illmac and Sikh can also be very, very good. And then how do you feel about Chilla versus Verb? You know what I'm saying? Do you share my thoughts where I'm not the happiest about it, especially with Verb's bullshit, but do you still see the value in it, or do you just like the battle for the card, regardless of how both have looked recently? Do you think this will be one of their better performances in some time? And do you remember back in the day when Chilla and Verb almost got booked in that Hitman card? It's funny, that was a Battler Ran League, didn't end up happening, right? Battlers taking fully into their own hands. Chilla wanting to stick with actually URL at that point, and now full circle we have Bags and Bodies One Night Stand coming up. Bags and Bodies is Hitman's own league, and then obviously Chilla Jones being, I know he is like league runners there, but booking and putting together these TBL cards, and this one, which looks like it's going to be the biggest card maybe the last like 5 years or so, man. But as always, man, it's been J Small Reviews here again, y'all. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm gonna catch you on the next one, man. Peace.